Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I would like to call the meeting of the Bel Air Planning Commission to order on this Thursday, July 17th at 6 p.m. I'm Lois Kissinger Kelly and currently chair of the Planning Commission. The agenda for this evening is a review of a project continued from June 5th for a special development, site plan, and landscape plan applicable for an 82,924 square foot shopping center consisting of restaurant, retail, and grocery uses by Bel Air Marketplace LLC to be located at 600 Baltimore Pike. After the presentation is presented to the Planning Commission, Kevin first will begin and he will present. Then the applicants will present. The commission will ask questions, and at that point, any of you who would like to come up to speak, please do. We look forward to hearing from you. Okay, Kevin, please.
Okay, I won't go through this whole staff report because you've seen it before, since this is a continued project. So I'll take you to page 3. I'll be repeating a little bit of what you had. And one thing to just make you aware of, the minutes that you have in front of you were minutes from the July 3rd. We didn't get them in time enough to put them on the agenda, so therefore, if you can look through them while it's fresh in your head, then you can mark it up and have it available for September when you can approve them at that time.
We don't need to take any action about the minutes tonight.
No.
So we don't have to table the minutes.
No, because I just didn't get them in time to put them on the agenda. The applicant's requesting site plan and landscape plan approval for 82,924 square feet of commercial uses. This is an alteration of an existing mixed-use center and requires modification of the existing special development approval that's associated with that. The first two phases, that's shops at Hartford Mall, and the residences at Hartford Mall are approved and not subject to any amendment or revision by the Planning Commission. Current building area of Hartford Mall is 496,337, and approved is 249 multifamily dwelling units. As part of this development, 172,228 square feet will be demolished. That'll be mostly the Macy's building. Then once that's done, then 82,924 square feet of commercial space will be constructed. Proposed new building area total, once that's done, is 407,033 square feet. A condition of the approval of the residences of Hartford Mall is that 50% of the total development must be commercial space. That was also reinforced by ordinance number 839-25, which basically says the same thing. Any development or mixed-use development must match the underlying comprehensive zone or comprehensive land use. So if it's the land use is commercial, it has to be more than 50% commercial. Space applied to parking calculation is 3.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. And that's based on 367,548 square feet to be calculated. When that's done, the requirement is 1,287 spaces. The applicant has provided 1,472 parking spaces as part of their development. That basically equals 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet. So they're exceeding the requirement by a half a space. The Town of Bel Air code requires 15% of the total parcel to be open space, which is 5.07 acres. 1.54 acres is provided on site, and the remainder is provided through fee and lieu. The applicant has modified pedestrian connections shown on the revised site plan that you have. And these are highlighted on a pedestrian circulation exhibit, which the staff has designated as Exhibit 6A and 6B. If you don't have a copy of that, let me know. Crosswalks appear to have been cleaned up and green areas added to the parking area. Staff remains concerned with the pedestrian connection from the north end of Building 600 to Building 300. Walkers use basically a concrete walk that's between two drive aisles with no buffering on either side. And it's obviously appears to be uncomfortable, and we'll go through that in a second as far as what they plan to, or they'll go through what they plan to adjust that section of the development when they come in with later phases. Refuse and recycling enclosures have been adjusted to meet section 16559A 6. However, an enclosure previously shown in the south end of the building 600 does not appear to have been relocated. We're just trying to find it, and I'm not sure where that's at. They need to explain that. In addition, an enlargement of a typical enclosure was requested in the continuance letter and should be shown on sheet LP02. A concern regarding the 30-foot width of the main north-south vehicular connector, which in our opinion encourages speeding. That was noted at the previous hearing, and the submitted revised site plan shows a reduction to 28 foot wide. And what is graphically shown appears to be, and the applicant needs to verify this, a 2-foot curb extension on all sides of the intersections in the two middle intersections of the development. Obviously, if these curb extensions, the town uses those all the time, that tends to assist the, especially pedestrians, because it reduces the length in which a pedestrian would cross. So instead of crossing 28 feet, you're crossing 24 feet. Stop signs have also been added to those intersections. If the Planning Commission is not convinced this will create a safe pedestrian crossing condition, you can explore other alternatives, one being elevated crosswalks. The easternmost access to Baltimore Pike has been adjusted based on comments from the town. Minor revisions to the sidewalk, the median, and the adjacent existing parking are recommended and shown on Exhibit C, and that's a red line of the layout with pretty minor adjustments to the plan. MDOT or SHA will also provide comment on this access because this affects their road if there is backup at that access point. In addition, the left turn at Bolton Street, located at the northern end of the drive aisle, has limited queuing length, and this may receive extensive use generated from the proposed commercial and residential development. This means trucks using this access could be encumbering the vehicle stacking to a point of blocking the westbound through travel lane of Bolton Street. Based on this issue and comments from the Exhibit 12, which is the auto turn review, it is recommended that trucks servicing the commercial establishments be prohibited from using this access point and be directed to enter the development from the south or other locations. This exhibit shows a massive area dedicated to truck turning north of Building 300 and appears unnecessary, especially if changes are made to the design of future Building 400. In other words, they're showing a big turnaround so that they can avoid moving Building 400. In addition, the future condition of the northernmost internal intersection is recommended as a 4-way stop. Right now, there's very generous radius, which can remain, but it just needs to be adjusted so there's a 4-way stop. But it doesn't need to be adjusted now because that's not part of what you're reviewing. In fact, the traffic, two things, traffic requirements related to this are ones that still have to be reviewed by the state, by the county, and by the town's traffic consultant, and that's still in progress. The applicant is planning to do later phases, and some of these things would likely have to adhere to some of the comments that are being made tonight. And that's something that they're going to have to keep in mind as they move forward with those later phases. No outdoor site improvements associated with phase 1. Those off-site improvements appear to be well on their way to being completed, especially as it's concerning the intersection of Gateway and Bolton. I actually visited that location today, and I would term it as being 85–90% complete. There is still a left-hand turn southbound north tollgate, which needs to be addressed, but that's something that has to be reviewed with the county and the state, and it's on their timeline, not necessarily ours. The applicant has submitted a revised landscape plan for review. Parking lot planting has been improved with additional trees. However, several interior islands are encumbered by what is typically referred to as a Filterra system for stormwater management, which prevents trees from being planted in these landscape islands. Now, that's my assumption. If they can plant the trees in there, great. But it's recommended that 5 additional diamond islands be, with a single tree, be placed in the interior of the parking. This will break up that expansive paving, and it'll kind of compensate for those trees that are not being provided on the islands where the Filterra systems are located. Detail for those diamond islands should be added to sheet LPO2. I do apologize, I did not provide that with the comments, but I did give it to the applicant prior to the hearing. Landscape is shown along the rear facade of both Building 200 and Building 600, which was a comment from last time. Screen walls around the service areas and refuse recycling closures appear to be noted for height, color, and material on the architectural elevations. So that was also a comment from last time. The applicants provided revised color elevations and renderings of the proposed architecture, and the town architectural consultant has provided their comments for your review. Town comprehensive signing package is provided, was provided in the first submission. Traffic, the required study was submitted, and comments, again, from the town traffic consultant were provided, and the applicant submitted a revised study in response to that. The town will respond once comments are received from our consultant, and we'll move on to get a final letter. Again, State Highway especially needs to comment, to be brought into the process of review here. The mixed-use centers are a special development.
Excuse me, would their comments and their position, or even our position, be based on, I mean, from a square foot standpoint, we're not adding anything,
Right.
which would seem to be, well, whatever traffic study then would see no reason to respond negatively. And yet, of course, you've had a very not vibrant situation for a number of years. How does that get measured?
The difference there is the background traffic's increased. So the mall came in 1972. Background traffic over that time has increased, and changes to the intersections in and around the development must respond to that, even if you're returning back to what the normal traffic that's demanded for this type
In
of
other
a
words,
use.
the fact that there's otherwise more traffic in the area
Right.
is a factor on the traffic study. That's interesting. Okay.
In fact, yeah, we got in trouble. We allowed, everybody knows Arby's? We allowed Arby's to move forward because they weren't expanding. And State Highway did not like that. They wanted us to, because they feel like Arby's was a problem child, given where it's located. So.
Sadly, it's doing about the same amount of business.
It's-
Kentucky Fried,
it's
so I didn't know that
Right.
it's lighting the world on fire there.
No, So, anyway, mixed-use centers, special development, must meet the performance standards as outlined in section 16553. The main item in there, some of those are already conditions of your approval, such as security. Our police department have asked for coordination with them. And the one I think you'll be looking at tonight is internal vehicular and pedestrian traffic designed to minimize conflicts and mitigate potential for impact to the patrons. The master plan has provided a sketch showing anticipated development replacing the mall structure. Again, that's a courtesy review. One thing to keep in mind there, and something that I did not put in my initial comments, there is a existing set of parking, a row of parking that is existing right now. And when somebody pulls in off of Route 1, there is potential for a conflict where somebody is pulling back out of these spaces. I'm not sure it hurts to keep that there now, but I think in the future, in the master plan, that parking needs to be removed. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not suggesting that it be removed at this point, but I think for future purposes, it probably should be. And if you have any questions as to where that is, it would be
The 17, right here.
there, right. It's kind of circled. So, you're familiar with it? Okay. Okay, so in the recommendations, the only thing that I would highlight, normally we don't go through those because they've already been recommended before, but architectural consultant comments, they're referring to both comments, but especially the July 3rd letter, and coordination with the Department of Public Works. That's something that is important, because I already had a comment from Public Works regarding Phase 2. Phase 2 and Phase 3, when it comes to utilities, are married together. So they need to see a final plan for Phase 2. They need to understand how that works, so it's very important moving forward. If there's another recommendation that I'll reserve until you guys have gone through and deliberated. Let's see. One of the other possible enclosure details, that's just something that they would have to provide for the trash enclosure, so there's an understanding. That's all I had. I believe Chris Mudd is here for the applicant.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody again. For the record, Christopher Mudd, excuse me, with Venable. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. And I'll go ahead and reintroduce our team again. Mr. Matt Robinson and Andrea Smith with SGAC. Mr. John Meschel with CBL in the back. And then Tori Pierce and Caitlin Pierce, both with Fred Ward and Associates here in the second row. We're excited to be back, and I'm going to promise to be much shorter today, and certainly here to answer your questions. We kind of boiled down, so we prepared a presentation tonight, but nothing that you're going to see tonight is different from things that you've seen already. It's just packaged in a way to help us provide a presentation and hopefully promote some discussion. And our takeaways from last time really fell into 4 buckets, although we're going to present on 5 things. The first piece that we're going to talk about is the site plan, and I'll do that quickly. And then we're going to get into more of a presentation in greater detail about green space. We heard comments about the amount of green space in the site last time, about site access and connectivity, which we know was important, about screening, both as to the rooftop and dumpsters, and then about building materials. And we're going to go in that order. So as to the site plan, right now I have our rendering on the board. Does everybody have a copy of the red line site plan in front of them? That was Mr. Small's comments. So our response to those are pretty simple. We have no issues with his comments. We're prepared to implement the red lines as shown on the plan, and we would ask that you approve the site plan tonight, subject to the conditions that we comply with the comments that he made on his red lines. So we're fully prepared to put in everything and to respond and address the comments that he provided. As to the other topics, the first one that first thing I'd like to do in the presentation is to remind everybody that we're here on phase 3, right? I don't have the full phasing plan, but phase 1 is the commercial to the southwest. Phase 2 was the residential, as well as the parking that you see to the north there. Phase 3 is what we are here on specifically tonight. The site plan approval is only as to phase 3, and everything else relative to the code, your code review is as to phase 3. And then, of course, phase 4 is of interest to this group, as well as the rest, but particularly phase 4 relative to certain connectivity issues. So you're gonna see some things tonight again that we hope will help you visualize how phase 3 will eventually marry into phase 4. Though the portions of phase 4 that we're sort of touching on tonight are not really up for approval. It's really only as to phase 3. So with that, we'll describe the green space issues that we are addressing. So our takeaway last time was that everybody wanted to understand a little bit more and try and provide more green and a better pedestrian and more comfortable pedestrian experience within the center. Oh, and actually, sorry, I'm going to break away from my topic for one quick second because this is actually part of the green space. But two sort of miscellaneous things that we did and to be responsible was that we put the right horses this time on the imagery.
I appreciate that.
Sure, absolutely. So we have thoroughbreds up there now, and we hope that that better suits your eye. And of course, the eventual whatever that would look like is something that would be dealt with later, but that's the idea, is to pay homage to horse racing in that location. And then in the front, there was a comment made last time that what we were seeing was not really what it was. And so what we did was prepare this to be more like what you would see. So there will be stormwater management facilities, and you see some fencing in the background. In all likelihood, it will be fenced. It's possible that it won't be required, depending on how the grades work out, but in all likelihood, it will. And without regard to fencing, there will be landscaping that would surround it. And so the idea of what you're seeing here is some low grass in the front with landscaping with the stormwater behind it, as though that just sort of blends into the background. So we wanted to update that. And as we move into the green space, you'll see that area is certainly a part of the greenery that we have in the site. I know we're still showing the stormwater facilities as green, and I think for a large part of the year they will be. And we've going to landscape quite a bit along 24 and as well at this marquee corner. And then the idea here was to just really present, and we hope, that we were lining commercial corridors and lining all the areas where pedestrians are going to be interacting with sidewalks in a very green way to make it comfortable for them. And we'll see some more images of how that experience is going to feel at more of a pedestrian scale in a minute. One thing to note is, and these don't come up so well in this image, but in this area here, I'll use my finger. In this area here and over here and here, these are planters and planter boxes. And so that's an opportunity, not just green, but to have vibrant colors and flowers that would change as the seasons change. And those areas are going to help define a lot of the the spaces where pedestrians will interact with the tenants. So the greatest opportunities that we have, we think, for really greening up those areas are places where we think restaurants are likely to end up. So in this area here, back where patios are, and a patio here, and they're somewhat defined, these green spaces, and they would get more definition as we would come in for the outdoor dining elements and see a little bit more in that respect. But these areas are, we think, a greater impact than we had last time. And the next image that we have in this is just to show you again how this would marry and carry over to phase 4. When phase 4 comes in, again, we're not here on phase 4, but the idea is to show you, and when we get into connectivity a little bit later, to show you how all this will sort of marry together, so you have these nice tree lines, and when the trees get mature, you'll have these nice tree-lined walkways for people to navigate to and from the various buildings as they're shopping in one place and getting the groceries in another and eating in another. So we hope that they have a nice experience in that way.
And whose responsibility is it going to be to maintain all this? Because there's a lot more green space responsibility here than it has been in the previous 2 phases.
So it would be the landlord and the eventual owner of the property, which would be SJC. And this, as a reminder, SJC, I don't know, they have dozens and dozens of properties around the country that they do this. They have They're professionals at doing it, and I guess I would say, I don't know whether you would have internal management or you hire a local management company? Okay. I'm sorry, yeah. Thank you.
Name
That's
and,
my fault.
name and address, right? Matt Robinson. Yes.
I'll just. Go ahead, yeah.
Yes, we hire professional management for all of our properties. They're typically local to the area, and they're responsible for, we still have an asset management function that oversees them, and, you know, we have weekly or monthly calls with them, and, but they're ultimately the ones that are maintaining the areas.
Mr. Mudd,
Yes, sir.
will the landscape, I know Phase 4 is down the road.
Yeah.
I don't know how far down, but will you have landscaping on the corner there, even though it's not Phase 4 now?
Up here, you mean?
As part of Phase 3, are you going to have landscaping up at the
You're
corner?
talking in this corner here.
Yes.
So it's a good question. I guess, yeah.
So yes, so Torrey Pierce, Frederick Ward, 5 South Main Street. So yes, the Phase 3 parking modifications to that parking lot include landscaping around the perimeter, so.
Phase 2.
Phase 2, I'm sorry, yes, thank you.
The next topic we wanted to talk about was site access and connectivity. And this really had two focuses that we saw coming out of the last meeting. One was dealing with the area between building 600 and building 300. As a reminder, building 300 up here, building 600, and there was a comment about providing a direct connection on this side of building 600 up to building 300. And so we've done that now. And in the upper left-hand corner of this exhibit, you'll see what that is going to look and feel like at more of a pedestrian scale. So somebody who might be down at the future phase and wanting to make their way in here can come across the Spine Road here. They can get up and along in a direct connection along the side of building 600 and straight up to building 300 in a way that you can kind of see it here, but we have the, again, tree line path, and you get an idea in this area here as to how that looks. One of the comments that we dealt with staff was how we actually would buffer in this particular area, and so you notice a combination of landscaping, but we also have wheel stops on this side, with the idea being that vehicles wouldn't be able to pull their car up too far so that the pedestrian realm gets too small. So we have those two combinations to make that connection there. Again, we think this provides a pleasant experience with this landscape buffer along that one side, and a practical connection that's still comfortable for people. This also provides a quick demonstration for, the next one would have, again, a demonstration of how this connectivity would all work its way through Phase 4. One difference that I think you can tell here that it's probably as good as place as any to address. So one of the comments that staff had was that this area now in the current Phase 3 is a concrete walkway that's between two drive aisles. And it is absolutely correct that that's how it's working out now, but that's kind of a function of what the site gives us at the moment. But we can tell you that once Phase 4 comes in and this alignment happens, it's gonna feel different and change. It's gonna be a walkway that'll be there, that it's up against parking, so it's not, you're not feeling on an island. It is an island, but you're not feeling so much on an island, and I think it'd be a far more comfortable experience in that way. And we certainly can talk more about that as we make our way through, but that would be our response to that comment.
Could you point out for me?
Sure.
Could you point out for me the 5-foot walkways versus the 6? It's supposedly
That may be
the
Tori, are they 6 everywhere now?
east-west cornerstone through the parking lot, which are 5 feet in order to maximize the landscaping.
Sure.
Kate Pierce. I believe that all of the sidewalks are 6 feet wide or larger, except for the main walkways that go through the parking lot to allow for the landscape beds to be 6 feet wide, which is the minimum requirement to plant trees.
And that's okay. Okay,
One
thank you.
Labeled on this.
Sorry, yeah. This one here and this one here. Those
Yeah.
two.
I think our concern was we initially wanted 6 feet, but when they put the wheel stops in there, we're okay with 5 feet because the cars aren't going to overhang those walks like they normally would when you're walking down some of the accesses in town.
Thank you, and thank you, Kate. The second thing that we focused on coming into the pedestrian realm versus the site access was this eastern entrance. So we're looking at a close-up here of this area here on the east side. And what we tried to do was to install traffic calming and vehicle calming that would really provide more of a pleasant pedestrian experience. And we hope we're achieving that with what we show you here. And we're accomplishing this in several ways now. One way is that the area that is to the right that I'm pointing to now, that's between Route 1 and really the entrance into the site. So this is the first area that somebody would encounter when coming off of Route 1, and then it also actually, it's not an out, so it's just an in. But it's going to be more narrow than the 28-foot width that we have across, so it's a little bit tighter to make sure that as vehicles are entering the site, they already feel more compact. The second thing that we do is that we're going to have stamped concrete. So this red that you're seeing is a signal. It's going to be the same material that you would have as the road. I'm using the term concrete, but it will either be concrete or perhaps asphalt. But it'll be it'll give the appearance of like a brick weave or something like that. It'll be a different color, so it's going to signal to the pedestrian, this is where I walk, and it's going to signal to the driver, this is where pedestrians walk, and we have to be careful. And this is something common that you see in retail centers kind of all over the place. The third thing that we've done is that we've provided stop control. I know we talked last time that that these are not necessarily enforceable by the police, so to speak, but that doesn't mean that people won't notice them, and we have them in a lot of different places to signal to people that that this is a place where they need to come to a full stop. And then the last thing that we've done is that we had 28 feet of width on the spine road, and as you approach or as you make your way through the pedestrian realm, it actually narrows down to 24 feet. So it's an extra 2 feet of curbing here. So it becomes even more narrow for vehicles as they're making their way to and through the pedestrian realm. This is shown only in, this condition is shown only in this location, but it would also be opportunities to do it in the other locations where we would have a crosswalk near an intersection. So those are the combination of measures that we've proposed to make this a much more comfortable experience and safe experience for the pedestrians. And the last thing I had in my notes I already talked about, which was the Phase 3 and Phase 4 difference of that connection.
Mr. Mudd?
Yes,
Can
sir.
I make some comments on the
Sure.
traffic?
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern with this whole project is traffic. And my experiences in Bel Air and every other shopping center I go in, people do not stop at stop signs. And with that being said, I still feel that you should have raised sidewalks on especially the main areas there. The crosswalks, yeah. Raised crosswalks, yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I see that the grocer don't like that idea, the grocer that's unnamed in this proceeding.
yeah.
But I feel that's a strong thing that I'm real serious about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only comment that I can provide in this forum is the experience that SJC has, and Matt can come up and speak for himself for sure, and maybe we'll have more dialogue here, but the experience that they've had with this grocer elsewhere is that this is a no-no. And I think that it may be described as an unwritten rule with them that when they appear, they tend to make noise. And I think their concerns have to do with trucks and, well, it's not, I think it is trucks and damage that happens to trucks as well as to the goods within the trucks. And so a concern
I'm not
we would
worried
have is
about the
that-
trucks, I'm worried about children and people getting killed.
I completely understand. So one of the thoughts that we had to not avoid, or to potentially avoid the situation of getting a condition in this order that could cause this tenant to walk away, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying that is going to happen. I'm just saying that if we can avoid having to go down that road, one of the things that we had talked about is whether there can be, like, for lack of a better term, rumble strips that would be installed as well to prevent people. It's not a complete elevated crosswalk in the location where people are so that it's the humongous hump, but it's something that is unpleasant for people and signals to people that I'm not supposed to be ripping through here at a high rate of speed. And I think that's something that we would be more comfortable pitching to the grocer who shall not be named than would an elevated crosswalk. Yeah, please.
And also notice that you have 3 different widths throughout this whole plan, 28, 26, 24, which is, 24 is typical, curb to curb, I believe. And
Let him address the other thing, because I think Mr. Robinson wanted to address the raised crosswalk.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say it was a good idea. When we discussed it last month, I did not realize that this is a required truck route, and I understand your concern, and obviously, safety is number one. But yes, this is a required truck route for the tenant. They cannot enter in off of the other side. Okay, so this is one of their required truck routes that they have to come in on this side. We provided a truck turning study to demonstrate why they can't come in on the west side. They do not accept raised crosswalks for their truck routes for really 3 reasons. 1, damage to the truck, obviously. Damage to the crosswalk itself because they bottom out. And then second, because they bottom out, the goods, if they're transporting anything fragile like eggs, they also get damaged, right? So we are absolutely willing to address any concern related to traffic calming in this area to the extent that we can, which was what we've tried to do with the different color crosswalks, which, it's not, having a different color there than just the lines coming across, right? That has been universally, accepted that this is a pedestrian zone, right? When you come into a center and you see something that looks like pavers, people accept that as a pedestrian zone, and then as well as the stop signs. As Mr. Mudd mentioned, we're happy to explore rumble strips, other options. It was a good idea, Mr. Hines. And I think if we feel like there's additional discussion that needs to be had, we would propose doing it with staff.
So before we go further, you have listed there on the ingress a stop sign. So as coming in, will there be a stop there, so you have to stop regardless? So if you're stopping, I don't know that you need a raised or elevated or any, even rumble strips for that matter. If you're coming in, you have to stop before you enter the,
Yeah, I mean,
because you have a,
and maybe
no,
we
I'm
can-
talking coming
Yeah,
in,
here, right
right
here.
there. You have the
Well-
stop sign, even though it's not on the right side of the, where your arrow is. You
Yeah.
would think that you would have the stop sign on the other side of the
Right,
crosswalk.
before it, right.
Before it. But my point being is if you have a stop sign, people have to stop before they enter the
Right.
thing. Now, I know as well as you do, people are gonna do a California roll through, but still, they're gonna slow down and they're going to stop. You could probably also put another sign further back saying pedestrian crossing. I mean, you have it on the other side, but maybe, coming in earlier, pedestrian crossing.
We'll even run power to the stop signs so that they're flashing, if that is better. That will catch
I
people's.
mean, I think that's more than adequate.
I don't know, that's okay.
Yeah, could you go over that truck route?
That's me.
He's vibrating.
The truck route, yeah.
Yes.
If you have a microphone adjacent to somebody who's speaking, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Steve.
So the trucks have to come in,
I think he's wanting to hold up the truck turning
oh, okay, sorry. Is that what you want, the truck turning study? Is that what you
Well,
want?
I want to see where the truck comes in and how it gets to the grocery store.
Oh, got it.
You wanna- Can they see?
Yes,
This is the right one. So we're not showing how it gets in from that side. What this is showing is why it can't come in this way. Because this was something we discussed with Mr. Small in discussion, and that was one of the things we talked about. Well, why don't you just make that the truck entrance? And what we're demonstrating here is why it doesn't work.
I think it's lean, I think it's like.
Oh, okay. I'll put my hands behind my back. It's a very compromising position, but that's okay. Yes. Those are the wheels of the trailer, basically. I mean, they're full on mounting that curb at that intersection there. So that's why Whole Foods, that's why the truck route, which the tenant has approved, is coming in on the other side.
Is there a specific time that they're going to be making their deliveries? Are they
Oh, yeah.
limited?
Yes, yes,
And
it
what
is.
are those times?
They're in the hours between 7 and 10. So, AM, yes, in the mornings.
But
Most of the
your-
center is going to be closed at that time.
Yeah, your grocery stores are going to be open. You're not to be
The
named.
grocery store, a couple breakfast places, but most other places will be closed.
Yeah, again, can you go back a slide and show me how that truck's gonna come in off of,
Sure.
what, Baltimore Pike
Yeah.
and get to that store?
Sorry, all the way down.
We don't have the same exhibit for that entrance. The point was to show why it doesn't work on the other
He
side.
doesn't need to see the.
I don't need to,
Oh, okay,
I just
sorry.
wanna see how the truck's gonna,
They come up in here.
Yeah, through, down here,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, we did look at those turning radiuses. They would lead at WD 67.
yeah.
I'm sorry, be what? She can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The staff looked at the turning radiuses from that end because we were concerned also, but those turning radiuses are very gentle, and they're not ones that would be interrupting the flow of a truck of that size, because it's a, WB 67 is the big semi-trailer. So that's, the one from Route 1 is relatively gentle and is not going to cause problems. It's the one from Bolton that was a problem. We had, I think Jimmy and I both had concerns about, and still do, about queuing there. They have concerns about even getting a truck to turn in from that direction. So I think we're both on the same page when it comes to that, if that's,
Yeah,
Correct, we're going to post signage that there's no trucks allowed in that entrance. Yeah.
well, I would go one step further. I know we don't have any control over the traffic study or anything like that, but my recommendations is not have a left turn there. If you're coming through that intersection, I think it's room for, what, 6 cars, Kevin? 6 vehicles?
I'm going from memory, I think it was around 6.
And if you're waiting to turn in, make a left turn, since that's not a light there, people coming through that intersection, coming from the other side on Bolton Street or coming in off of Route 24, that's going to be a backup there. And I see that as a safety concern. But again, we don't know what the traffic study's going to say. But I really think that should be a no left turn there, and just an exit from the mall parking lot out to 24. Just make it an exit, not an entrance. You got multiple entrances going down that road. You got 2 more down on the left.
But hang on, as a part of 2, they're shutting down the other entrance on Bolton Street. This will be the only entrance into the property off of Bolton.
I think
Thought
it's
there
the
was a
wire.
light right here
There's another,
down where,
they're shutting it down. They're closing it off as part of Phase 2.
okay. I
That was
didn't
part
read
of
that on
Phase
here.
2 was traffic improvements, was they are shutting down the entrance, my recollection, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but that entrance where the light is further down is being shut down as part of their approval for Phase 2 traffic.
That signal's going away, it'll become a flasher.
Correct. So
I'm
you
talking
can't
the
get
one
into the
down-
property.
Down where, between Macy's Furniture Store and the garage.
Yeah, that's
the
Gateway,
residential.
that will
Gateway.
remain.
Yeah, that's
Right.
another one. There's another opening down further on Bolton. That is being shut down. You're not going to be able to get onto the mall property from the entrance because they're changing it to a flasher.
Yeah,
And
that
then
one I
Kevin
see,
had
yeah.
designed the left turn lane onto the property so they could get into the property from Bolton, because that's going to be the only entrance from Bolton, directly Bolton to the
Until you
property.
get to the signal
Yes,
down at
correct.
Gateway.
So if you eliminate the left turn lane, they can't get in the property from Bolton. That's it, based on the current approvals. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, remember here, when we're talking about off-site improvements, it's not your purview. So it is something you can be concerned about, and certainly make sure you voice your opinions. But it is something that's a function of this traffic study.
Okay. You know, I'm wondering, especially when it first opens, aren't there predominantly 3 entrances of pedestrians coming from the other parking lot in? I wonder if you couldn't, this may sound silly, but maybe the first 6 months, you actually have a guard at each one of those, just so that they're, oh, look, the guy's standing there, and, you know, have to be cautious.
I think, are you talking about in here?
Where it crosses over from the main road that leads out, yeah, from Bolton
Remember,
Street.
I guess once Phase 3 is built until the rest of the commercial's built, it's just gonna be a wall there, so people aren't even gonna be walking across here. The pedestrian connectivity we're talking about here is really something that's gonna not occur until, you know, several years. Oh, I don't know, I shouldn't say that, but some amount of time, several years from now, for sure, but sometime after Phase 3 is open.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I had a quick question. Would you be opposed to what they call paddle signs? Do you know what a paddle sign is?
No.
It's a sign that goes in the middle of a crosswalk
Oh.
that says stop for pedestrians.
Sure, right,
It's in-
so basically it's yet another measure to keep things more
Right.
narrow, because the car doesn't want to hit that sign.
Now, you guys would be buying new ones about every other month, but you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about, well.
Like in here.
Oh, in
Yes.
there, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where you, because usually that splits a lane, right?
I just,
But down here, yeah, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
those are very effective. The town has put them on Bond Street and on Main Street. They just don't survive
Yeah.
because people run them over.
Yeah.
But if we
Usually
make it a
there's-
requirement, then
There's
they got to
something-
replace it.
There's something that's in the ground that actually is hard fast, and then the sign goes into it,
It's
right?
one of two options. You can get something that's in the ground that attaches, the
Yeah.
paddle attaches to it,
Yeah.
or what the town has done, which is a weighted piece of weight
Got it.
that sits in the middle of
Okay.
the road.
Yeah, that sounds like, oh, man. All right.
Did you touch it?
I
That
didn't.
was you.
I didn't, I breathed.
Just act like you're in handcuffs.
So the next topic that we discerned coming out of the last meeting was screening. And what we wanted to specifically address were two types of screening. I think people were concerned or wanted to make sure that the rooftop screening, the example of the rooftop screening for equipment that we showed is going to be consistent throughout. And I'll show you how that's the case in a second. And then also the dumpster screening. So you may recall this image last time. Hopefully, I'm going to do my best to work through the glitchiness. So you may recall this image last time, unrelated to screening, well, still related to screening because it was walls, but there were staff had comments about these tiebacks of these walls to make sure that people weren't going to be running across 24, and so this plan was updated to show that those in fact will be a solid wall. There's no ability for some pedestrian to come across 24 and make their way through the site mid-block. Another thing that we had shown last time was this image and this inset. This is actually phase 4, but it was an example for you of how the parapet wall is the dash line, or above the dash line, and then equipment would be meant to sit behind that parapet wall. So you see the letter D here, and I'm going to just do this very quickly, but as you make your way through the rest of the materials, and if you make your way to these images, the elevations that we provided, in each of the locations we give an example, a typical of that D. So the letter D that you see in these images here are referring back to that same typical to show you how the parapet wall is going to be incorporated on each of the buildings so that that screening mechanism is available to screen rooftop equipment across all buildings. The third thing that we wanted to mention is dumpster screening. So, I'm sorry? Yeah, no, I think I did that. Yeah, you mean the wall on the, yeah. So, first of all, there was a lot of attention paid by staff to this dumpster area up in here and incorporating more screening there, which is, you see in that form of the greenery, which was done in response to staff to block views of that dumpster enclosure back there, or those dumpsters that would be back in that location. And then there was also a lot of attention by staff paid to the dumpster enclosure that was in this location in the middle of the parking lot. And specifically what happened here is pretty simple. If we look over here, is that areas that used to be parking have now been removed in favor of significantly increasing the size of the buffer area to really hide it from the center. And we also have a man door here, that's what that is, so a person can get in or out of the dumpster enclosure from the rear in that way, and then of course the dumpster enclosure, these are images from the front to show you how it would incorporate that corrugated metal material on the front. We also worked on the alignment to make sure that these dumpsters would be able, they're on an angle you'll see, but they'll be able to be picked up by a trash truck who's navigating through this area here. So I think the staff report indicated that this is now compliant with code, so we worked to do that. And then the last piece about the dumpsters, and this is going to, I guess, answer a question that was raised in the staff report, is what happened to the dumpster that you may remember was on the side of Building 600? So originally we had a dumpster there, and staff pointed out, Mr. Small pointed out that that dumpster was right in the middle of a proposed pedestrian walkway. So what we've done is we've eliminated it. And the question becomes, okay, well, where are those people going to throw their trash away? And the plan is that the dumpster that's behind Building 300 would serve that purpose. It may seem to some of us like that's far, but similar to the fact that there's a dumpster here that's in between buildings and there's a little bit of a walk, this is something that SJC thinks the market will tolerate. And I shouldn't even say it that way, that this is market standard. And frankly, when it was pointed out by staff, we kind of thought long and hard about it, that the idea of putting a dumpster there, while convenient to Building 600 and more convenient, was not a great look, and it was not a great experience for the pedestrians. So putting the trash and having them put the trash back there, we think works. And also, as you're considering that, just know that there is a limited number by the lease of the grocer, a limited number of food uses that can go here. And so the expectation is that this building is probably going to have primarily soft goods, like retail store, not the type of thing that's going to have heavy garbage. So the type of thing that someone, when it's time to take the trash out at the end of the night, has one bag in their hand and takes it around. Or at worst, we've seen this, and SJC's seen this in some of their centers, people literally have a rolling cart. So the trash goes in there, they roll it around to the dumpster, and then they roll back and they close up that in their, inside their tenant space, and then they move on. So that's how we've proposed to address the trash screening.
Before we move on.
Yeah.
The dumpster up in the back of Building 300, you have it perpendicular to the building? How far, first off, the whole purpose of that area behind there is for the loading and unloading of trucks.
Right.
So it seems to me that you're choking off your access point. Is there a way that you have like a screening wall, you have a little bit of green space there to angle it at an angle in the back of 300, like this? Like if you're looking at the back of 300.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I
So
can
like put
get a
it,
better
so like
image
where you
for
have that notch out? So where you have that notch,
Sorry, I'm
okay, so where that notch out is?
yeah.
Where you have the green space?
Yep.
If you angled it and put your dumpster there, is that something that we could live with? Because to me, it seems like, the dumpster's what, 4 or 5 feet wide, and you've got 2 of them there with space in between, so you've probably taken 16 feet of your entrance space for loading and unloading. And I would think that you'd want all that instead of choking it down, so.
I recognize the concern.
If you're happy with it.
We already had it approved by the tenant, so it's not a big deal, but
That's up to you.
we could also angle it, but
I'm
it doesn't matter.
just looking at, the whole purpose of that's not to have
Yeah.
stuff in your way, so. okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
No.
problem?
I like your eye, yeah.
Typically what will happen is the people will put them wherever they want. That'll become one big service area, and whatever's convenient is what's done.
Well,
Now,
no,
the organic grocer may be particular about how that's
No, I'm
done.
just saying, once they build it,
Yeah, but
right,
they'll just stick them wherever it's convenient. Look behind just about any shopping center in town, so. And which is fine, because that was the big issue with this area, making sure that it was screened from the public, because we knew it was going to turn into piles of pallets, dumpsters. Look behind Dollar General. What's the one across the? That is one of the ugliest.
All the time.
It's yeah. So they have little pallets of corrugated boxes that are bound up. And those are not pretty, but they're within a service area that is screened. So that is what we're trying to make sure we achieve.
Thank you. So the last thing we wanted to touch on relates to building materials. And so there's a couple things we wanted to clarify and then be responsive, of course, to the architectural review. So, so the first thing, you may remember this screen last time where we were showing how things sort of meshed together within the phases. And one thing that I wanted to certainly clarify was we're applying numbers. The residential, which is phase 2, is on the left-hand side. And we've applied numbers to show what materials are part of phase 2. We're not here actually presenting what phase 2's materials are. The representatives of phase 2 were here last time, and they said afterwards, hey, it may not be exactly the type of material that you've shown. And so I wanted to make clear here that all we were really trying to show is that our materials are complementary to what they have, but not necessarily exactly the same. So I just want to make sure that you all realize that as we sit here. But the idea is generally the same with a linear wall system, a smooth wall system, and some masonry. Those elements remain, as well as the glass and the metal elements as well. And I'm not here to speak for what the final design is of phase 2, but I just wanted to make that part clear. The second thing we wanted to make clear was that the image in the upper right-hand side, which was an image you saw last time and is in the material book you have, is actually phase 1. So it says Fresh Grocery, but this is the Amazon grocer, and this is an image of what they have. And the importance and what we want to bring out in here, and we mentioned this last time, is that phase 1 has no red brick in it. And that's really what drove our initial design without red brick, was that the red brick seems to be appropriate on something of larger mass and scale on the residential building, and I don't think they do intend to have a brick element. And we proposed it without it, so it sat different and at a lower, well, it is at a lower scale, but it's something that's different from the residential component, but still complementary. And so I guess the one thing that we want to drive home in addressing now, the third thing we want to clarify is we have the term, and in the materials we have the term decorative masonry. And the architect in his response, I think we confused the situation in the way that we labeled this. We weren't suggesting that the block that we proposed at the beginning of this project in the first iteration was complied with the decorative masonry look he was looking for. He asked us to incorporate more red brick, essentially. So from our perspective, the red brick is the decorative masonry. We're not trying to claim credit for the block being decorative masonry. So I just want to make that clear in how we responded and what we presented to the architect in that way. And now addressing the masonry in our proposal, we understand that the architect wants more red brick, and we identified that in submissions. And I'm going to take you in a minute and show you basically the exact same images, one with red brick, and one without red brick. Notwithstanding the fact that we made the red brick submission to the architect, which we did at his request for his review, we're still here today asking you to approve the version without the brick. We think that it matches phase 1. We think it sets off from the residential in a way that we think is actually sharp, and it's a different scale building. And our lower story single, I guess the best way to put it is this modern look, or we think more modern look without the brick, is something that SJC has executed throughout the country, something that they think looks sharp throughout the country. And I know this is completely subjective, but they really prefer to do it here. This is not, sometimes developers or engineers or people will come up and ask for things because it's cost. This is not about cost for them. It's about what they believe is the right thing. And so to that end, we're asking you to approve the images without the brick. We understand if you want the brick, that's completely your decision and up for debate, but that's really what we're trying to do. So I will say one caveat with that, and I'm going to take you into images of the no brick and brick. What we're looking at here is Building 100. This is where the grocer is. The grocer has approved this, this facade that you're looking at. And they have a very robust internal process, which is really part of the entire vetting process to land them in the first place. They have investment committees and a lot of different groups that you have to go through. So to the extent that you were to impose or require brick, and specifically were to require it on this building, we're not even sure whether we can get the tenant to agree to it. So even if you feel like brick should be imposed, we would ask that at the very least it not be imposed on this building, so that we don't run into a situation where we'd have to get back into a process that we don't really have control over and may not be able to deliver on. So I want to make that request as a ground level. So to that point, I don't have a version of Building 100 that shows brick, because it's something that we truly don't want to do and are asking you not to require us to do. And from there, I now have images of each of the remaining buildings that'll be juxtaposed to one another. The first one shows no brick, and the second one, same building, incorporates red brick in these end cap areas. And then on to Building 300, again, a no brick proposal juxtaposed to the brick on the end cap areas and in those spaces. And then we have Building 600, same thing, no brick, and then with brick. Incidentally, this is the building that in the no brick scenario here was where we used to have the dumpster enclosure, and now when you move to the brick enclosure, it shows how we got rid of the dumpster and put landscaping there. But even if it were a no brick scenario at this point, it would still look like that with regard to landscaping. And then finally, Building 700 with no brick versus brick. And that pretty much, I think, rounds out the comments we have. Two things I picked up. One thing I picked up on miscellaneous topics was the Filterra question. So Kate whispered in my ear and said that we can plant the trees in the Filterra, but we're still fine to do the diamond islands, but it's not something that, it's something that is possible.
Before we move on to the diamonds, do we really need to do that? They have them in Target. People are trying to wedge a Suburban in there.
There's no trees in there.
Well, no, I understand, but my point being is they have diamond-shaped cutouts in Target, which cuts down on the size of the spaces.
Right.
And somebody's always trying to wedge a Suburban or something.
You have a big
Should-
truck?
Pardon?
Do you have a big truck that's
Yeah,
on?
but I'm not, I've parked far away. I have no problem parking.
Your microphone.
My point being is, there's other people out there that will take the opportunity to park an oversized vehicle in one of those spaces that's always sticking out into the parking lot, in the parking lane. And I see no reason for us to mimic something that has already failed in the Target parking lot. I understand.
That's purely up to the planning commission.
I understand you want to put trees in there, but I would say if you did that, let's just take out a whole set of, like take out 4 parking spaces one place and just make that a little mini park. I mean, I'd rather see that than.
It's up to the planning commission. So you're the one who are in charge of whether or not you want to have trees in there. I will say that there are a lot of places that have these. If you go down in Florida, they're all over the place. I know we're not in Florida.
I'm not
but
saying, all I'm saying is, I go to the Targets, over to Target when I'm forced to. And inevitably, there's somebody over there that's trying to wedge something that doesn't belong into those spaces.
Understood.
That's going to happen here, so I don't think we should.
I got you. Let me just clarify this with Caitlin. My impression is that when you have these Filterras in there, that you cannot plant trees. If trees can be installed in those parking islands, there's really, in my opinion, as far as the requirements, there's no need to provide those diamond islands. I'd like to hear from everybody else as to what you guys believe, but if that's the case?
So in a Filterra system, they're designed specifically so that they can have, in a Filterra system, they're designed specifically so that each Filterra system can have 1 tree planted, and usually they're more on the ornamental side, so they're not a large shade tree, but they are still a tree.
Okay.
And so on those islands, it would be only 1 tree within that Filterra system.
So you guys will have to discuss and decide. I'm good either way. They make their numbers for interior parking either way.
I mean, I'd rather see him take out a complete section of 4 parking spaces and put in, 4 or 5 trees. If the goal is to put trees in there.
Let me just address that comment right there. I can do that in every location except in front of the tenant that shall not be named. Those parking spaces have to stay like they are. Everywhere else is fine. We'll even put more elsewhere.
Up to you.
I would leave that up to the applicant.
Yeah, I mean,
If they want to have Target-like failed parking, then God bless them. There may be other issues with Target that's been reflected in their stock price over the
no,
last
I
couple
know,
of
I'm just saying, I know Target doesn't have trees, but they've got, I think they have lights over there, I think.
Those were initially designed to have trees in them, and then they put lighting
Lighting,
in them.
yeah, I think they-
The one in Bel Air Town Center has those, and trees are in them. So it's purely up to you guys. If you don't want to see those because you don't like the way they interrupt the ability to park, I'm good with that. Especially if we can plant at least a couple more trees in some of these islands that have the Filterra systems in them.
Plus, it gives you 4 more parking spaces.
I'm sorry?
It gives you 4 more parking spaces. The diamonds, if you turn that or put whatever there, you lose your parking space.
Yes. I mean, these are designed to
Right.
provide landscaping without taking away parking.
Right.
I have a question too. Did you, I believe I've read that not only did you increase green space in the walkways and such, but that you increased it also in front of the buildings themselves?
Yes.
How much what will be the average, can you say?
Oh, you have a number?
I don't know the answer, and, just don't hold me to this. If I had to estimate, it was probably somewhere around 40% that we increased it, an increase of 40% before.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with the overall project. One of the things that I would like to see nailed down in whatever we approve is that the view from Route 24 very closely resembles what you're showing in this artist rendering. In other words, what we don't want, and I'm sure you don't want, is for the back of the buildings to look like the back of buildings. And I like
No,
that.
right.
It doesn't have to be that particular horse, it could be a different horse. But I would like to tie our resolution into this artist rendering with any changes subject to staff approval. So what you're proposing and what I think you're proposing, what I'm looking for is effectively 2 fronts to your buildings. And that's good, that's what it should be. It's the most
Right.
visual place in all of Hartford County, really.
So this is what you would see from building 100, which is where the grocer is. And building 200 is,
Point to the one you see from 24.
yeah, that would be 200. I'm looking for the right elevation. South, rear
Yes.
elevation, that would be it.
Strictly talking about the ones that back up to Route 24.
Yeah, so it's this elevation here and this elevation here.
I mean, basically, when McDonald's came in and redid their store, they didn't like it when I asked them to put windows in the back facing the road, but they did it because it doesn't look like a drive-through as much as it does a storefront. And that's really what Phil's looking at, and that's what, I asked the same question last time as well, to make sure that whatever we're seeing
Yeah.
from 24
Yeah,
looks like it could be a
and
storefront. Even if it's just the back door of something, it still looks like a
Sure.
storefront. But with your awning and things like that you have there, that's what Phil's getting at, is that.
yeah. I think we can easily have a condition that the final design would work through staff to make sure that it presents in that way.
We're always looking for that.
We're in complete alignment. That's why we oriented the center the way that it is.
I know you're not in resistance,
Yeah.
we just have a responsibility to nail that down
Right.
so that whatever
Yeah.
we approve includes something that looks kind of like this.
Yep. Well, and it's good to say too, because I think last time we talked about the fact that this image doesn't necessarily control, and so to the extent that you want this to be similar, then you can do that through a condition.
Okay.
Kevin, I had a question about the deliveries. Are we asking or recommending that the deliveries be done between 7 and 10 to eliminate conflicts?
Because of their location, the deliveries are not restricted.
Okay,
If they were closer to residential, they would be
Okay.
restricted so that they could not be coming in before 7 a.m., which it doesn't sound like they're doing anyway.
yeah.
I'm surprised, given that there are so many front-loaded businesses, that you're not doing early morning delivery, but that's really up to you, so.
Are you, is the 7 to 10 just for the retailer who shall not be named? Or is that for everybody?
It's in the shopping center rules.
Oh, it's in the overall rules?
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Thanks, Matt.
Interesting.
I can't promise that they always, the
I get
the grocer who shall not be named is very cognizant of it, the front loaders, but they're bringing in vans, they're not bringing in trucks.
I think the importance too is the enforcement mechanism is there by the landlord. Yeah.
And the the parking lot maintenance, the one we have right now with Barrett's and so forth, that parking lot is an absolute mess. Do you have someone who is, or would that be maintained, and how will?
I tell you what, why don't you tell us who's maintaining that parking lot, and they won't hire that person, for sure. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, they want the best.
Hush me.
You go ahead.
Our lease requires us to keep the center. Our lease requires us to keep it in good repair, so it's not gonna be an issue.
I think, just to clarify, if I'm saying this wrong, Chris, let me know. I think that the applicant needs some sort of an answer from the Planning Commission concerning the architecture. They're requesting basically that the spec or the rendering that the retailer who shall not be named has approved is okay with you guys, and then 2, with the rest of it, whether or not you want to see more brick or less brick, right? I'm sorry. How did you say that, Chris?
Ideally.
brick it, period.
Brick or no brick? Yeah,
Right,
okay.
our preference is the original submission, which you're looking at now, so I was describing it as the no brick option.
Okay.
That's specifically what we're asking you to approve. And to the extent that you want us to incorporate brick, we would ask you to improve as we've proposed here, which is the brick that we've shown in these images without a requirement for brick on Building 100.
Correct, which is our
Yeah.
retailer shall not be named.
Yeah.
Well,
So
now there-
I think nobody's really said anything about that, like what you guys are thinking as far as which way subjectively you want them to go. So I just want to make sure it's clear in the record which way you want them to go, and if you are okay with the no brick. I mean,
Well,
it's
their
up to you.
submission is without brick, so if we approve that, then we don't need to further stipulate, or do we?
The retailer who shall not be named building is no brick.
Right, I understand
Okay.
that, but
Yeah.
and that's what they're submitting to us, so do we need to take a pro-action position if we agree? that
Yes,
that's-
you need to say that's okay.
Yeah, because he gave you both options.
Right.
He gave you both
Okay,
options,
okay.
and
Right.
the reason why it doesn't have brick is not necessarily because of our architects or what Kevin's thought process is, or yours. It's because the retailer who shall not be named, of course, is like, no, that's our spec, well, that's all well, great, the Taco Bell thing. So,
I'm personally comfortable without the brick. We're not talking about a colonial area, historic area. We're talking about where we are, and it seems to reasonably fit into what's already been done with Phase 1 and 2, and
Right.
Phase one.
I would not, it's not an issue for me, and I'd be very happy to, when we get around to motion time, to move for the no brick provision.
I feel the same way as Paul does, because at first I was for the brick. I think the brick looks good, but I think it should match Phase one. Bring the whole shopping center together, and I understand the contrast for the residential, which has the brick. I get that, and that might be good. It won't confuse people when they go in there.
Okay, so no brick all the way
And-
around, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a commercial area. I think it's very attractive without the brick, too.
Kevin, I do have one question. The renderings we have shows signage of tenant in the front and tenant in the back, like the building, so I'm assuming that that's tenant shows where, like a place where the tenant would be, or the size of the building or size of the retail space. So from a signage standpoint, is there any issues, or is there an issue for us having a sign for Chuck E. Cheese on the back
On
of
the
the
rear?
building as well as the front?
No, that's all over the place. But, in fact, our planner, who's in charge of signs, I think just reached out today to get some more, to provide some more information, or to obtain more information from SJC regarding the signage, so that she can start the process of going through.
That's excellent. Thank you.
I would think that would be good marketing, actually.
I'm sorry?
I would think that would be good marketing to have the,
Most of them do that, yeah.
if we can wait a minute. Yes. Would either of you care to speak from the public? Okay. Sir, all the way in the back, are you interested in speaking? Okay. Thank you very much.
I did have a question about the security. So it's going to be one security company. Is that security company, is it going to be located on the property? Is it going to have an office on the property? Is it going to have a garage?
I don't know whether, is that a question for you?
I mean, because this is a,
It's gonna be coordinated, right?
Can I clarify, when you say property, do you mean Phase 3? Or are you talking about?
I'm talking about
Everything.
everything. You own it all.
Yeah, I believe the plan is to, I mean, we can coordinate with CBL, and if, we're comfortable with their company, we can use the same company. But yeah, it's a standalone property that has its own agreements and everything. So do you want it to be the same company, or?
Well,
One thing that I'm sure of is it's incumbent upon us, through conditions that I think have been requested by staff, to work together with the police and with the town on ensuring that it's done in an efficient way. So we're not going to, certainly not going to buck that trend or that requirement, and we're not going to be lone rangers out here. So we'll work to do whatever makes the most sense, I think. And ultimately, I mean, I said at the beginning of the last meeting, and this may not happen this way, but I think there's a hope that CBL and perhaps with SJC is going to be in here very soon, next several months on the rest of it, right? Or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's 6 or more months, I don't know. But the picture is going to become clearer once it becomes a more unified, brand new establishment as to how all that'll fit together. I think sitting here right now, your expectation would have to be you're going to do your own thing, but coordinate with Mall.
I also don't care if you want us to use the same security company, we'll use the same security company. Yeah.
I was just curious as to what you got planned for
Okay.
security.
What we have planned is we're going to interview security firms, and we're going to select who we think is best, irregardless of who they're using. But if you would like us to use the same company, that's not that
I
big
think
of a
I
deal.
can speak for Chief Moore. I think he'd want to have the same security company. They've done a lot of coordination with the existing mall through Lori Altman, and issues such as active shooters, just a ton of things. There's a lot of issue on retail theft that Target has been experiencing. So I'm sure he's going to want to get together and coordinate with whoever you have, and he'd probably like to have one point of contact.
CBL has been operating here longer than we have, and I trust their judgment, so that's fine with us.
Plus, that's one of the conditions in here anyway, they coordinate with Town of
Right.
Bel Air Police, so.
That's right, exactly.
That, let's say, Madam Chair, I'd make a recommendation for any comprehensive plan that the Planning Commission provides a consistent determination.
Can I interrupt you just for one thing? I just want to make sure that you guys go through and have decided on, because I'm going to give you some motion items relative to that north-south vehicular connection. Are you okay with what they presented? Do you want to add, I think there was idea of rumble strips at one point, they had proposed.
Paddle signs seem to be, is there a consensus for paddle signs?
They also suggested
At the
flashing lights at the
pedestrian-
stop signs.
Yeah.
If
I
you
think
want that.
one thing that I would add to that is the pressed brick should be concrete, not asphalt. So if those are things that are okay with you, those would probably need to be included into the
In the site plan,
motion.
in the site plan motion.
Yeah, I can provide that.
Tell me, what was the last one again? I thought I had all these.
Well, they've already shown, in their submission, they showed the concrete sidewalks, or crosswalks. You would just have to add the paddle sign and the lighted stop signs.
Flashing stop sign.
And the rumble strips.
Do you
I don't
want the
think so.
rumble? So
I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't need rumble strips.
you guys need to.
You got stop, first off, everywhere else has either a stop sign, a yield, or it's full on.
Traffic study?
They're going to
Standard
have a
conditions.
lighted stop sign or a flashing stop sign, which is more than anybody else in town does. We don't need rumble strips on,
Well, as long as you guys are
I mean, I don't think we need it.
I'd like to see them on the main drag myself, where the 28-foot one, because that's where they're going to speed. Because it's going to be a shortcut from one end to the other end. That's just my opinion.
I don't think we need rumble strips, personally.
Anybody else?
I wondered about rumble strips on the exiting, like onto Route 1, really forcing someone a vehicle to slow down before they get out of this whole area.
You're talking about somebody entering the site off of Route 1?
He's talking
No.
about-
She's talking about exiting.
You enter on Bolton, and then at the end, you're going to exit, onto Route 1. Is that not right? So if you had rumble strips at that point,
Okay. You guys decide.
well,
I personally don't think you need rumble strips on either the entrance or the exit. I
Okay.
mean, we have signage for a pedestrian crossing. We're going to change the pedestrian crossing to concrete walkway. They're going to give us a lighted stop sign. I don't see the need for rumble strips or anything to tell somebody else that they need to slow down. If the customer can't figure out that they need to slow down, we're not going to change their attitude or mind.
okay.
I was just going to add, if I get a vote, I don't want to do the rumble strips either. Not because it costs money or anything like that, I think it's odd, so.
Phil, how do you feel about it?
I personally don't see the need for the rumble strips.
Okay. Neither, sorry. Okay. Was there anything else, Kevin, that we needed to respond to?
I'm going to read this once I got out with it.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget about the part with the compatibility with the
I did, I got that already done.
artist depiction.
Just-
And then we'll be approving the non-brick.
Yes, I got that too.
That's the three areas that I'm aware of.
hard for you to follow. This is what I've got. This would be condition 9. Provide a concrete brick crosswalk, panel signs, and lighted stop signs at the 2 middle intersections within the north-south connector drive aisle to the specifications of town DPW. Is that?
That's good by me.
Then for architectural elevations must include elements shown on the perspective renderings on Exhibit 10B. The one that they just passed out is what I'm going to stamp as Exhibit 10B. And then lastly, the town architectural consultant comments. This is just a list of all the different comments that you've gotten from other agencies. July 3rd, approving the option without brick.
And Kevin, at number 6, coordination with the Bel Air Police Department regarding security. Is that where we can say something about one security company?
Yeah, well, you can say coordination with the Bel Air Police Department regarding security and surveillance measures within the entire mall development.
But Pete, do we mean to stipulate that it be one company, or do we mean to stipulate that it'll be coordinated with the chief? Wouldn't we just leave that to the chief's latitude if he, for whatever reason, he said, yeah, I'm good with 2 different ones? I mean, do we want to stipulate that as a condition of approval?
If I'm the police chief, I would rather deal with one rather than
Well,
2
but
or 3.
wouldn't from our standpoint, wouldn't we leave that up to the chief, rather than us inserting that in our motion? We're already saying it's going to be coordination with the Bel Air PD regarding security and surveillance. Do we want to tell the chief?
So we're going to leave it up to the chief to
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah, he's the professional law enforcement guy.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that dealing with one company rather than 2 or 3.
And he might see it that same way. I don't doubt that he does, but I don't know why we would want to get into that business of telling him that we're already conditioning the approval on coordination.
Except that the planning commission's concerned about, the security. But we can leave it up to the,
I trust the chief to take care of that in his professional duties.
is he going to be notified of that? Would
Oh,
the
yeah.
planning commission discuss?
He actually provided an email request relating to that. So
And what did he request?
he requested that there be coordination between
Oh, okay.
the developer and him.
He
Yeah.
may have said something about, I just want to deal with one security company rather than 2 or 3, but
He didn't say anything about the security company. He was more concerned about surveillance and cameras. The town, as Mr. Chismar knows, that just spent a bunch of money on new camera systems, and I think he'd want to be tied into that.
okay.
I think it's fine to make sure that the chief knows about the concern, and bring it up to him.
Oh, yeah, and I'll let him know. He knows about that, yeah.
That you're concerned about 1 versus 2.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'd make a motion, the Planning Commission provides a consistent determination of the proposed development of the 2022 Bel Air Comprehensive Plan is required by Town Code Section 165-19.
Second?
Right, Jimmy?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye as well.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion for the site plan for Phase 3 development. At a minimum, the approval of the preliminary site plan is conditioned on the following. 1, prior to building permit application, submission of a final site plan for signature incorporating comments from the staff report and comments from the Bel Air Volunteer Fire Department dated May 12th, 2025. Hartford County Health Department dated May 23rd, 2025. Hartford County Soil Confirmation District dated May 21st, 2025. Condition Conditional TIA approval letter from the town and comments from Hartford County and Maryland SDH, and Maryland State Highway Association for off-site intersection Maryland State Highway Administration for off-site intersection or road improvements pending. Bel Air Public Works comments dated May 21st, 2025. Town Architectural Consultants comments dated May 26th, 2025, and
July 3rd.
And July 3rd, 2025, and with the approval option to make the development without brick. And red line Exhibit C, providing minor adjustments to the site plan and landscaping plan. Number 2, prior to the approval of utility construction drawings, applicant must address comments from the Maryland American Water Company. Number 3, coordination of utility placements, easements, and right-of-way with the Department of Public Works prior to building permit issuance. Number 4, public amenity provision at a minimum of $30,000 is required based on Section 165, 118.e, and must be approved by the Cultural Arts Commission along with submission of receipts to the town prior to use and occupancy permit. Number 5, provision of a cost estimate along with an associated architectural agreement and performance bond to meet the requirements of Section 165-32.c, paren 4, paren lower d. Related to the east facade of the remaining Hartford Mall structure is required prior to a building permit issuance. Number 6, coordination with the Bel Air Police Department regarding security and surveillance measures within the entire Hartford Mall development, consistent with Section 165-53.i, paren 2, paren lower g, bracket 1, bracket lower h, is required prior to use and occupancy permit. Number 7, no further permits or approvals will be granted by the town prior to the completion and approval of all site improvements required for the Shops at Hartford Mall, -05P, -21-01, -SP/SD/SB Phase 1. Complete all work on the final site plan prior to issuance of the final use and occupancy permit. A, construction of required improvement outlined in the town traffic impact analysis conditional approval letter pending. And B, landscape installation. 9, provide a concrete pedestrian crosswalk, panel signs, and lighted stop signs at the north-south connector areas and to the specific of the town Department of Public Works. Number 10, architectural elevations must include implements shown on the perspective renderings on Exhibit 10B, which is the front cover sheet that we saw tonight.
Second.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, I'll grab the landscape plan. Maybe I won't, because that's small, I can't see, I don't have my computer.
I had the same problem, too.
Go ahead, you're on the roll. You need a drink or anything?
No, ma'am. Madam Chair, I would make a motion for the landscape plan at a minimum. Approval of the landscape plan is conditioned on the following. Number 1, prior to a building permit issuance, submission and approval of the final landscape plan, incorporating comments from this staff report and the following. I would, in my motion, I'm going to eliminate A, which is the addition of 5 interior parking lot base design and Exhibit C, based on the fact that I don't think they're necessary. So you guys can deny it the second if you want. B, addition of refuse recycling enclosure detail to sheet LP02 indicating material to be provided by Okay, FWA. Item C, addition of diamond island detail sheet. We would get rid of that too. And item D, item C, we're eliminating. Item D, we are addition of the elevated crosswalk detail to LP1, if required by planning commission, which we're not requiring. So basically, let me redo my motion here. The landscape plan. Madam Chair.
Yes.
At a minimum, the approval of the landscape plan is conditional on the following: the addition of the refuse recycling enclosures detail to sheet LPO2 indicating material, height, and color to be provided by Frederick Ward and Associate.
And that's it?
Because everything else is the diamond stuff, right? The A's the diamond.
You're right, yep. So you're good.
I will second the motion for purpose of amending it.
All right, Phil?
A, addition of 5 Zacoba Sarita to the interior of the parking lot based on Exhibit C, and addition of Diamond Island detail to sheet LP02, providing for installation and maintenance of trees.
Need a second?
Yeah,
Second.
okay. All right.
Now you're voting on
So
the
you're
amended.
voting on the
We're amending, we're voting on the amendment. And that means eliminating C, correct?
No.
Oh, we included that one
Put it
too?
back in.
He put that back in.
Added A and C.
Oh, right, okay. All right.
John was striking the
Aye.
name of brevity.
What would you-
Aye.
Okay,
Nay.
Don, nay, nay, okay. Chair votes aye.
Right now, you're voting on the special, the actual, you voted on the amendment. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Special development.
Plan.
Yes.
Now you're voting on the actual
Amended
motion.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Now includes A
Yes.
and C, A, B, and C.
A, B, and C.
Yes,
No?
it doesn't have the elevated crosswalk.
Yeah, no elevated crosswalk.
I move the amended motion.
No, you're just voting.
Mhm.
Thank, aren't you?
Because we've already stated it, right?
You already seconded the motion.
So now you're just
Yeah.
voting on the original motion.
Okay, Phil?
Oh, well, the
amended
amended.
motion.
amended motion.
Okay.
Aye.
Don?
No.
Aye.
Jimmy? Peter?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I'll take the hopefully non-controversial special development for mixed-use center. Special development for mixed-use centers based upon the following findings of fact: that the applicant has adequately demonstrated adherence to section 165-53, I2G. A, the applicant has provided a unified arrangement of buildings, service areas, parking, signage, and landscaping. B, the architecture, site design, lighting, and signage incorporate consistent design and theme elements and materials, massing and facade design for the project that is in harmony with the character of the neighborhood. C, the internal circulation system is designed to minimize through traffic and traffic conflicts within the project. D, safe pedestrian movement and provision of pedestrian walks within the parking lot and surrounding the building perimeter is considered in the design. E, all proposed establishments have vehicular service access either from an individual service drive space or from a common service yard. All loading, trash removal, and compaction or similar activities are segregated from public areas and screened from public view. F, signs to identify the use of an occupant will be designed as part of the architectural design of the building. Proposed signage is conditioned for approval of the preliminary plan and is subject to review and approval by the planning commission. G, Directional and informational signs are designed and adequately provided. H, center management is responsible for providing on-site security service. In coordination with the chief, no. I, a traffic and/or parking study was submitted and is under review. J, the owners of all lots have executed and recorded a development agreement with the town, providing that all owners acknowledge and agree to be bound by performance standards as an overall scheme of development outlining all shared elements, granting reciprocal easements to permit each owner to access any of the owner's lot or parcel of land for the purpose of compliance with the town code, and for either remediating any zoning violations or to comply with the town code for the purpose of any approval sought by any of the owners of the lot, and agreeing that the town shall permit enforcement of any portion of the town code upon one or more owners of any land or parcel of land and contained within the mixed-use center scheme of development.
Second.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
That's all you get.
All right.
Let it begin. Thank you very much.
Very excited about this project for the town.
You are too.
Very good. Thank you.
Working with us.
Absolutely. It's done.
Huh?
It's done. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to review this, and that'll be it. Before we go through this, right?
Can't accept any.
Before we go through this. Not you. You forgot? I agree.
No trampoline? No trampoline?
Okay, we're going to continue this meeting, so if you could hold your conversations until you leave, that would be helpful. Okay, let's review the project review quickly.
Any questions?
Any questions on the project review status report?
Raising Cane's is due to open about the first week in September. They're going to have a ribbon cutting. I
Oh,
can't remember
nice.
the exact day.
Very good.
You got to sign on the buildings, huh? We're almost
Yeah?
there.
And I'm sure we'll be notified so we could attend if we wish.
I believe it is on the, or it will be on the calendar, but anyway, I will send you a notification.
I mean, there's a crew there like around the clock, so.
They're working
I
hard.
don't think they're gonna miss that target
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
Moving up quick.
all right. Yeah,
The trampoline park, the guy just decided that this wasn't his location. He just is moving, he's going to do it somewhere else.
I wonder if you'll go to the mall.
He might, you never know. You might see him in the old Macy's furniture store. You never
Yeah.
know.
Any other questions?
So, in looking at this, there's Bel Air Road, Baltimore Pike. Where does Baltimore Pike start and where does it end?
You'll start to see a change in addressing right around Tollgate Road, where Bel Air Road, when you go further west, Bel Air Road is the preferred address. You can, to find that out, you can go look on SDAT, and you can figure out addresses, and they say such and such Bel Air Road, and then they switch when they get up to the
Right,
to the
it
Hartford
goes
Mall.
from Baltimore Pike to Bel Air Road to Baltimore Pike.
Yeah. Welcome to Maryland.
Just stick with Route 1, you'll be good.
Yeah, no,
And
but
let's
I
hope
was just
it-
curious about that, that's all. I had never
Yeah.
realized that.
I prefer Baltimore Pike, but that's me.
Kevin, I think the cutoff line, I know this sounds weird, I'm just pointing out something from Tidal, for all the years that we've been doing Tidal. It seems like the cutoff point is Route 24. So anything like their side of 24, Hartford Mall, Tollgate Road is considered, or Tollgate Marketplace is Bel Air.
Right.
Bel Air Road, and then anything closer to Bel Air, which makes no sense to me, is Baltimore Pike. On the other side is 24.
Well, at least
was just
hopefully
curious
it's not
about that,
Blair.
Yeah,
Oh,
Blair.
boy.
Yeah.
Blair.
It is Blair Road.
Blair Road.
Blair?
And in
Blair.
Palmer. Wolfemet's.
How about 332? What's going on with that?
332, they just contacted me today. They cannot extend, they already extended once.
Right.
They cannot extend again, so they're going to come back and, they're, I think, planning to come back in front of you to get reapproved. Their biggest problem is that, and this is something that, well, their access is their biggest problem.
Yeah, they need an agreement with the car wash, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions from anyone? I have a motion for.
adjournment?
Yes.
Motion for adjournment.
Is that second? All those in
Third.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
See you in September.